Hello, this is Bill Colazzi. Welcome to an Eldritch Moon 8-4 draft. And wow, what a first pick. Docent of Perfection, Docent, and Distended Mindbender. And both of these cards are nuts. Okay. I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Docent is a stronger card, but they're both excellent. The Distended Mindbender is a heavier commitment to black, and I like, well, Dawson isn't a black at all, so that's not really a commitment to black. But anyway, I think blue is a stronger color. This is aggressively costed, and the effect is incredible. So yeah, let's start the draft off right. Who else is in this? We got crazy old Ben Kenobi. What a name. Akahuka. Truckus. Darth Boudreaux. This is like a Star Wars themed draft. Yov de Scrub. Canteen, and passing to me is Reader Rabbit, Reed Duke. So this should be quite the interesting draft. Next up, Wretched Griff. We are blue, and this is up there with the best cards in the pack. I mean, yeah, I can't see... Yeah, the red cards aren't stronger than the Wretched Griff. The Cultist is in the same color and a little worse. The green cards aren't great. Maybe the next best card after Wretched Griff is Dusk Feaster. And then possibly Borrowed Hostility. And if you really curve out with some Madness deck, the Gorgeous is fine. But yeah, the Griff is good here. Okay, this thing goes nuts. So you just need 3 wizards. We can start looking for wizards or something like that. Okay. Oh, don't tell me. Is Reed Duke cutting blue and green at the same time? Passed a couple ways along is this Stromkirk Condemned. The other color I'd be interested in going into is red, but there's not much of that left either. Blue-white Flyers is a possibility. The Condemned is fine. I don't know how much better it is than Midnight Scavengers, but it's gotta be okay. Then there's Faithbearer Paladin. It's a good card all around. Yeah, I don't want to get locked out of anything. I'm going to take the Stromkirk Condemned. And after that, Certain Death. Blue-black is a real thing. Sometimes it's all about zombies, and sometimes it's just about, like, you get into a rare blue-black Emerge deck with some of the Emerge creatures that return instants and sorceries. And Dawson is good in that deck. So here, I mean, there's Dusk Feaster. Soul Separator is interesting, especially with Dawson. It won't flip, but at the very least you can get some humans. But yeah, Certain Death is quite a good card. And we get another one. Oh, this is tough. So, Midnight Scavengers #2. Don't think I love that here. Galvanic Bombardment, which is pretty good. I mean, now that we're seeing some red. Then there's Thermo Alchemist, which works so well with the Dawson. Before picking up the Thermo Alchemist, I like the Bombardment. And we might have to abandon either blue or black. I mean, is the Certain Death really worth it here? It could be. It might be. Jeez. Do we want to pass on this much red? I guess if these are coming late, you don't need that many Certain Deaths in your deck, and you wouldn't mind having a ton of galvanic bombardments. That's kind of the tiebreaker. Anyway, Fury Blade Vampire is not on that level. It's not quite as good. Dismissal is interesting, but if you're picking up solid blue 4-drops, Enlightened Maniac is a bit better. It works well with Wretched Griff. Convolute, again, is something you want later. So it's between that and Dragoon, I guess. We already have one Vampire with a discard outlet, but the blue commitment I have is so much stronger with the first pick Dawson. Fortune's Favor. That works well. It's a funny effect. And it's probably just better than the other cards here, besides Olivia's Dragoon. You know, Madness is so much less important in this format than it was in Shadows over Innistrad. Yeah, let's take that. Ooh, and now, should we take our first Take Inventory or Exultant Cultist? Interestingly enough, this is a wizard, which is counted for Docent of Perfection here. And it's a creature. We just don't have the 3-drop creatures. It's possible we don't get enough Take Inventories to make it worth it. So, the wizard it is. How many zombies are we likely to get? Probably not enough to make Graph Harvest worth it. So, Wailing Ghoul is a nice little defensive guy. Weirded Vampire. I mean, that kind of does what this stuff is trying to do. But rather than that, I'll take Borrowed Hostility. Card is better, and it made it this far around. So maybe red is really the open color. Otherworldly Outburst versus Succumb to Temptation. Yeah, I think if we're really getting into the red deck, these little guys are just so good. And I don't mind giving up a, Black's Divination. Zombie. We have one zombie. I mean, blue has some zombies, but I'll take the Banquet. Alright. Getting such a late Convolute, I mean, it's not a huge signal, but it is a potentially playable card in a controlling deck like this. Wrong color of Emerge creatures. However, Ingenious Scab is as close to insane as you can get for a common. This card is great. Heavy blue, it's really good. Any kind of instants make it much better. And as a follow-up to, like, Docent of Perfection, it's just got to be the best card here. Oath of Liliana is actually fine, but that kind of Edict effect is not the reliable removal that you have to prioritize. Ooh. Some cool stuff in this pack. Blood Mist. I'm not that committed to red and being aggressive. Unsubstantiate. That is an instant. Well, I can read the card for you. But no, it's good that it's an instant because it works with so many of the cards we have. And it fights things like werewolves that you invest a lot of mana in, or enchantments or things. It's probably just a good card to have access to. Galvanic Bombardment number 2. That does get a lot better. It always seems to be in the pack with Thermo Alchemist. And very few things are more annoying than that, than having these 2 cards pretty close in power level, and just, you can't have both. But those are the breaks. Oh, more tough breaks. Alright, let's get rid of black. We could splash a certain death, but for now it's just, let's try to make the best deck. We don't have that many creatures. Mercurial Geists is great. We know we're in blue, so it's going to be better than Brazen Wolves, I would think. Then there's Spreading Flames. Giving the Geists a chance to wheel. Spreading Flames is good. But with all these Galvanic Bombardments and Borrowed Hostilities, I'm actually going to go for the Geists here. I would be happy with, I guess, any of these 5 cards. The Battlements probably play it. Ooh, Homunculus, perfect for this deck. Finally, we get a 2-drop creature. I'm not sure this was right over the 7-mana instant burn spell. But then again, like, I know how good that is, and this might just fit our deck better at this point. Anyway, ooh, shreds of sanity, I guess. Kind of the prelude to insanity is having shreds of your sanity. This is fine. We don't have madness, which is when this gets really good, but we could pick some up. And if you have a mix between sorceries and instants, it gets a lot better. Right now we're all about the instants, apparently. Still, there's nothing else here that's interesting to me. Alright, there's something here that's interesting to me, and its name is Bedlam Reveler. That's crazy. Alright, well look, sometimes you identify the correct deck to be in, and this is what it looks like. Enlightened Maniac, definitely happy to pick that up. This card is insane with Emerge, but it's also just great to flood the board with a bunch of things that you can block with or attack with. Oh, come on. So we didn't pick up any other blue Emerge creatures, so someone must be lapping those up. Brute? Maybe we just take It of the Horde Swarm to mess someone up. I don't like the Brute. It's just not as good as our 4-drops. Alright, fine, I'll take the Brute. Jeez. If it'll get everyone to leave me alone, I'll take the Brute. Spontaneous Mutation. I mean, I might play it. That's the real reason. Spontaneous Mutation. That's fine. It'd be better if it was an instant or sorcery, but it's still a prowess trigger. What have we got? Skursdag Supplicant. Well, surprisingly, of all these cards, I'm sort of most afraid of this guy. Pretty nice to get a Field Creeper. It's our second 2-drop creature. I don't think any of our guys, not enough of our guys are humans to really repel the abominable. I mean, it's the kind of thing where they like, hey, you have a 9/9 double strike flyer that I can't block. Well, I have a fog. Try to avoid that kind of situation. Alright, now we have to figure out what to do with this pick, because it's not obvious. Maybe it is. Maybe Pyrehound is really the obvious play here. We have enough of these little 1-drop things. Slayer's Plate is good. You kind of want creatures to play a card like that. Memories, the best card is Duskwatch Recruiter. Jace's Scrutiny is something that might wheel, and if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. So yeah, I'll take the Pyrehound. Whoa. This looks so cool because I haven't seen it in a while. Startled Awake. Huh. I think that's got to be the pick here. It just does a lot of different things. From being a sorcery to being a win condition. And Geist Blast is good. Like, I'll give it that, but yeah, I'm gonna take Startled Awake. Geist Blast might wheel. Maybe the Whispers does as well. Let's have some fun though. Startled Awake. Press for Answers, Blood Mad Vampire. Press is kind of cool. But the Blood Mad Vampire has this upside of like getting out of hand when you get through their blockers or give it first strike. Nothing else here is that interesting. I mean, Tooth Collector would be really annoying against us, killing wizards and whatnot. But we should be able to kill that with some bombardment. I'll take a Blood Mad Vampire. Things are getting a little less interesting. However, the Pyrehound is still like a nice payoff for this sort of deck. Gone Missing, Insolent Neonate. This card was always okay. It's a lot better with Madness, and now we do have a Madness card. Gone Missing, this type of card will usually wheel. It's okay, but I want something to do early. Oh, perfect. Rise from the Tides? This is exactly what this deck's trying to do. I think. If we've picked enough instants and sorceries up. We could live the dream and flip Docent of Perfection with Neglected Heirloom. Doesn't really work so well with Startled Awake. It also works with Curious Homunculus. Yeah, I'll take it. It's possible it doesn't make the deck. At this point, I'd rather have Gone Missing, just to increase the number of sorceries and instants we have. Nagging Thoughts is also perfect. It's not always going to be better than Dual Shot, but it sort of fills a different role, and we can discard it with Insolent Neonate. Need some cuts now. My goodness. Foreboding Ruins. For that red splash we're talking about, or black splash. Landscape. I can't imagine needing this distortion. Well, let me take that back. Maybe there are times. There are one or two ridiculous artifacts and land. Field Creeper. I might just cut that to begin with. Machinations. Well, I'm not playing any of these other cards, so... Maniac is probably just worse than Pyrehounds at this point. Oh, but this is an exciting deck. The part I'm not looking forward to is cutting all these cards. They cut like 2 more cards. It's so many. Alright, well, we'll leave this up in case that really becomes a thing we need to do. Enlightened Maniac. Is that worth getting rid of? Of all the creatures, the weakest for our deck are like Enlightened Maniac, Insolent Neonate, which might not be the cut anyway, and Blood Mad Vampire, but those work so well together. The Heirloom is kind of weak. It could be Convolute. The rest of these are pretty good. Oh yeah, I don't need this Maniac. Like the deck, it doesn't need it to do well. How many instants and sorceries are we going to have? Probably reliably 2, so this would be a 6-drop. Alright, this Enlightened Maniac, he's enlightened, but he's no wizard. Discard a card. Return up to 1 instant and 1 sorcery. How many are we really looking at here? We've got 10. Convolute probably deserves a place in here. Maybe over Spontaneous Mutation. Just looking at our creature base, like, we don't have room for non-instants and sorceries. But I like the ones we have. And this is 23. Shreds of Sanity. If we had more Madness, I'd be more inclined to play it. Like, it's still okay. You can get back 2 cards, which is pretty good. We have 1 with Madness. You know, but it does exile, so it doesn't really count for Rise from the Tides, besides getting it back. And Neglected Heirloom, how good is that going to be? It might just not be what this deck wants. And we could put in Enlightened Maniac over it. Or Stensia Banquet. It doesn't have to count many vampires, just has to draw a card. And power up our creatures. Alright, as interesting as the Heirloom is, we have enough cards to make this a more streamlined strategy. So, yeah, I like this well enough. An even split. Probably right down the middle, maybe favoring... Well, actually, that's an interesting question. Is it worth playing 17 lands, or can we get away with less? The one thing this deck is missing is some card draw. Well, gotta make up our minds pretty quickly. Yeah, we'll go into an extra blue. Okay, this is the deck, and I'll see you in round 1.